People really don't know what their expenses will be because they don't know how long that they're going to live.
Americans are worried they won't have enough saved for retirement now more than ever.
Retirement is going to cost, for many folks, over $1 million.
Is no sure thing in investing, but a lot of people think that annuities may come close to that.
It's going to more safe things that they know. If they know they're going to need that money to supplement their retirement, well, then you can't play that risk.
This is the Safe Money and Retirement Show with Jon Heischman Sr., founder and partner of Heischman Financial Services, serving the Columbus and surrounding areas. Jon specializes in educating pre-retirees and retirees about safe money strategies and ideas. Now, it's the Safe Money and Retirement Show. Here's Jon Heischman Sr.
Welcome to the Safe Money and Retirement Show. I'm your host, Jon Heischman, bringing you the show each week. For those that are thinking of retiring or getting ready to retire, as a retirement planner, I always want to look at the financial aspect, the income plan, and everything that goes with retirement planning. Too often, many are not ready to retire, even though financially they can. So retirement planning goes beyond putting together an income plan, a tax plan, healthcare plan, and addressing all the risks that go with retirement. And you might say one of the biggest risks is, are you ready? Because the best time for retirement, it's going to be different for everyone. Personal health plays a huge role in determining the right time for retirement. Job-related stress can be a reason for retirement. Maybe the individual realizes that they want to donate time, travel more, or spend more time with family members. But for many, though, even contemplating leaving a job creates a lot of anxiety. And many are comfortable in their established routine and relationships. They are worried about losing their professional identity and social connections, and filling those many, many hours that they were spending while they were working. In addition to being a source of ongoing income for those that don't want to retire or it's not right time, extended health care benefits is a big reason for an individual to continue to work. So I want to talk to my clients about, are you ready? And I have a conversation with those that come to me as a new client, plus my existing clients. And I can give you a really good example where one of my clients, who we've been working together for about 10 years, called me and said, Jon, I'm ready to retire. So we scheduled a meeting, did an extensive review of the finances, and from an income standpoint, he was ready to retire. He could very easily retire. I set him up with sources of income that's going to be guaranteed for the rest of his life. And then we got into a discussion about, what are you going to do after you retire as far as your time? Are you going to travel, play golf, and all the other things that keep retirees busy? And I shared a lot of experiences that I have had with other clients. And after, I'd say, about a 45-minute discussion about this, he came back and said, I don't think mentally I'm ready to retire. So he's going to work about another year, and then we're going to talk more. But he just wasn't ready to make that move. So it turned out to be a great interview, and he's going to delay retirement for another year. That's going to help him build up more assets if he does retire that soon. But we're going to have that discussion again in about a year, and I want to make sure he's ready. I don't want him to come back and be bored and maybe have to go back to work, because at this point, he's not in the best of health. I like developing relationships to be able to have these conversations on a personal and confidential basis. So I'd like to hear from you. You're thinking of retirement. You're real close. It might be good to have a conversation, and I can share some experiences and some ideas with you, as well as reviewing the planning you've done so far and giving you a second opinion. 614-861-7055. Again, that number to call is 614-861-7055. The risk associated with retirement, I think, have never been higher. In fact, as a life stage, retirement today is arguably more unstable and more unpredictable than ever before. Those of you approaching traditional retirement age, you have a number of concerns that's going to impact your decision whether to retire. The longevity risk. That's the risk of outliving your resources. Having to work full-time or part-time to live comfortably in retirement. That's what we have to determine. Being able to cover your and your spouse's long-term care needs and staying productive, engaging during retirement. So these concerns, they interfere with retirees' confidence in the ability to have a comfortable and a sustainable retirement. So I think that decision about when to retire has never been more important than the world that we're in today. Can you afford to retire? At some point, you're going to have to consider the financial side of the retirement equation and ask yourself, can I afford it? The bills come in every month, and most will keep coming whether the payer is retired or not. You're always going to have an automobile. There's going to be a furnace. There's going to be a roof over your head. And if you own your own home, you know there's going to be ongoing repairs. What about an aging body? This is going to lead to increased medical bills. If that regular paycheck were to stop, could you be able to pay the bills, maintain your lifestyle until death? Unfortunately, it is common to find out that financial realities are not in sync with many of your dreams. This doesn't mean that the dreams cannot be realized. It does, however, require a more in-depth evaluation of your retirement budget. What I have seen is the perfect situation is where your finances are in order. We have covered all the retirement potential risk, and in your mind, you're ready to retire. You also have a plan of what you're going to do during retirement. Many have hobbies and many don't. And I think each retiree needs to be in a situation where they can visualize in their mind what they're going to be doing, then put that down on paper, a plan that they're going to travel, how often, where to, maybe babysit grandchildren, take up golf, and possibly charity work. Other situations would be that an individual wants to retire simply because there's many things they want to do, and they're going to be busy throughout retirement. That's a good thing. The problem is, financially, they're not ready to be able to do all the things they want to do during retirement. And it's not easy to tell a client that based on what you want to do, the expenses of traveling. For example, your current assets at this time will not support that. So postponing retirement would be an option. The good side of that, increased Social Security benefits because you're delaying retirement, building up more assets for future income. Another option might be planning for part-time work. Income from part-time work can fill the gap between a retirement income need and the funds available. Another option, reducing lifestyle expectations, lower housing cost, eliminating expensive luxuries, maybe substituting at-home activities for the travel and restaurant cost that a retiree wanted to do. The key is putting the entire plan together, financial and readiness, on a non-financial basis. Do you really want to retire? What are you going to do? And can you afford it? That's what I help clients to do. I'd like to hear from you, your questions and concerns. 614-861-7055. That number again, 614-861-7055. It's time for a break, and when I return, I'll have some more good ideas relating to retirement planning. So stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to the Safe Money and Retirement Show with Jon Heischman. For more information, call 1-888-426-0177. That's 1-888-426-0177. Or visit their website at HeischmanFS.com. More of the Safe Money and Retirement Show in a moment.
This is Jon Heischman, your host with the Safe Money and Retirement Show. I have listeners who call in each week after listening to the show that want to sit down and just talk about some of the things that I discussed on the show. There is no obligation, of course, there's no cost, and absolutely no pressure. Nothing is sold. It's just a discussion of what I talked about over the phone and how it may apply to your particular situation. I welcome that opportunity and encourage you to contact my office in the event you would like to discuss any topic, whether I talked about it on the show or not, answer your questions and concerns. 888-426-0177. It's your retirement, and regardless the size of your accounts, that's your money and it's got to last a lifetime. A meeting can be scheduled in my office or at your home. The local number is 614-861-7055 or 888-426-0177.
Welcome back to the Safe Money and Retirement Show with Jon Heischman. To contact John, the number to call is 1-888-426-0177. That's 1-888-426-0177. Once again, here's Jon Heischman.
Welcome back to the second part of the Safe Money and Retirement Show. I'm your host, Jon Heischman. You're ready to retire financially, and you now have a plan on what you're going to be doing during retirement as far as your time and plans to keep busy. The next step that I take my clients to is budgeting. A lot of people don't like this word budget, and maybe it shows the truth, reality, or some feel it's just too much work. Once a budget is established, then it's downhill from there because we'll want to go back in and revisit that, make changes, and I recommend at least once a year. Now, I have some clients, including myself, will take a look, redo the budget if necessary on a quarterly basis. I have some clients that do it monthly, tracking the expenses as far as where is your money going during retirement. If you're contemplating retirement, you need to reevaluate spending. No longer can you rely on the conventional wisdom that says they will need anywhere from 70 to 100% of pre-retirement income in retirement. That's a scary percentage because you're now in a situation where you don't have that guaranteed paycheck coming in every month. I've got clients that are getting by very well with less of a percentage than that rule of thumb, 70 to 100% of pre-retirement income. But that budget going into retirement and in retirement needs to be much more precise. And the only way to get a realistic picture of how much you're likely going to spend in the future is to create that retirement budget. Actually, I enjoy doing that for my clients simply because I've done it for so many years. And I'm willing to help in any way I can to go over a budget and help establish that budget with individuals. Budgeting is the key to determine the amount of money needed to live, assessing whether or not you have sufficient assets to maintain that standard of living. Also, creating a withdrawal strategy that will hopefully ensure their savings will last a lifetime. How much monthly income is going to be needed? Then which accounts are in your best interest to draw down income based on your budget and, of course, your tax bracket. And I do have budget forms, a format to follow, which is simplified. It makes the process easier, but it covers all the areas that need to be covered in a budget. If you would like a copy of one of my budget forms, just let me know. There is no obligation. There's no cost. It's my way of saying thank you for listening to my show. 614-861-7055. 614-861-7055 is the number to call, and I'll have that sent out to you immediately. So we want to account for every possible source of income and expense that you have using the past 12 months worth of bank account, credit card statements, which is a pretty good place to start when estimating your expenses. I advise for my clients to have a generous miscellaneous line, if you will, for the budget. And the reason is many retirees forget to save for items like car, homeowner, maintenance, taxes, which can lead to regular scheduled emergencies when there's no money set aside. I think this is especially true when you have bills that are paid quarterly, twice a year, such as property taxes, maybe your auto insurance, homeowners, is quarterly. We have to factor that in on a monthly basis, so that money is there when they come due. Next, classify each expense, either essential or non-essential. Making this difference, it's going to help you think about what you want to spend money on in retirement and the trade-offs that are willing to make in order to achieve the goals that you're going to value the most. And by the way, my budget forms do include essential and non-essential. I think it's very important when you're deciding to retire. And this can even be done after you've retired, where a married couple should complete 3 budgets, or at least check the retirement income for each situation while both are alive. Let's say spouse 1 passes away first, and if spouse 2 passes away first, what this exercise does, it reveals that a couple might be okay while they're both living, but the survivor may not have adequate income. Let me give you an example. Many military retirees decline the survivor benefit and have not purchased adequate life insurance to provide for the surviving spouse. It's always important to ensure their surviving spouse is going to have adequate income before deciding to retire. I always extend retirement planning to the surviving spouse because many times it's overlooked and the plan didn't pass on to the surviving spouse. I mentioned life insurance. It is a very important planning tool from an income standpoint. What a great way to provide tax-free money going to a surviving spouse. Of course, if it's needed, but if it's going to help solve the problem, you pay a few dollars per month for a large benefit to be paid out tax-free that the spouse can use for income. Fill that gap, whereas Social Security is going to be less because there isn't 2 Social Security incomes, plus many pensions are going to reduce. Very important, and it needs to be addressed. So reviewing all expenses from that entire previous year is going to help avoid expenses that are paid once yearly, because we don't want to forget housing insurance, medical bills, and long-term care expenses. We can then practice living on the established retirement budget for a year, maybe 2, before actual retirement to determine if it's realistic to retire or changes are needed. So that brings up a good point. Ideally, if you're going to retire, let's say in 1 or 2 years, why not start a preliminary budget prior to retirement to give you a good idea of what your expenses are going to be? Important to keep in mind, this is not permanent. This is preliminary because it's going to be changed as time goes on. So please think about a budget. Use me to help. It's so important in retirement planning. 614-861-7055. That number again to call me, 614-861-7055. I'm out of time for this show. Unfortunately, I could talk to you about many retirement planning concepts, which I will on future shows. So be sure to tune in next week at the same time, the same station, for the Safe Money and Retirement Show. 614-861-7055. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your interest.
The Safe Money and Retirement Show with Jon Heischman Sr. To get in touch with Jon, call 1-888-426-0177. That's 1-888-426-0177. For more information about Heischman Financial Services, visit their website, HeischmanFS.com. That's HeischmanFS.com. Join us again next time for the Safe Money and Retirement Show with Jon Heischman Sr.